Hello, good evening. 9 o'clock on the dot. Una, live within her group for our unique new adventure limited. I hope the sound is okay and I hope the light is okay. I thought I would try something new today, so I could be talking to myself the whole time. Maybe some of you will join in. But I thought I'd try something new. So welcome to my group. I now have 100 people, which is brilliant. I'm just going to straighten my screen. If you jump in, just let me know you're here. So this group was established from my business, Unique. Hi Jane, hello Jane, thank you so much. A new friend. Hi Suzanne, a new friend who I've never met. One's from Ireland, one's in Australia. Good morning Australia. So this is my group, and it's to add value to my business, which is Unique New Adventure Limited, which I established in April of this year. So, hi Suzanne, good morning. It's 6 a.m. I think for you now in Australia. So my business is to rejoice in our differences through education. I'm an international humanitarian and I lived in 2 continents as a nutritionist, and my business is through education, and part of that is my book. So I kept journals, and I'm always asked, are they real? Good morning from Melbourne. Hi. This is my actual journal. Okay, one of my journals. And yes, they're actually written. Hi Deetra, there's my auntie. Thank you so much. So this evening I'm just going to give you a little bit of background as to me. Why now? Why this? And why I did what I did, or why I do what I'm doing. So when I was 18, I came across, I won't give too much background because people are here to hear the story, this book. This is my home economics book, okay? And when I was 18, I saw this picture, and it's a nutrition book. And this picture, now I can't find, it's a little bit stark, but this is what I did. So it's 2 pictures, 2 little boys. And the description is, in developing countries, scarcity of food leads to starvation. And that's exactly what I experienced when I was away. But why am I doing this? Why did I keep journals? Well, part of it was to process what I saw. And the book, why? Hi Martina. The book is why. Well, what do you think? And this is interactive, so please answer if you can. What do you think when I say humanitarian? You might think of the visions on the TV. War, famine, starvation. I had the same book, brilliant Jane, yes. This is an A-level book for people who aren't from here. The exams you do before you start university. So this was my key book. If I jump back when I was 10, Live Aid, Feed the World, Bono, I wanted to run and raise money for the famine in Ethiopia. I wasn't allowed because I just came out of hospital, and I'd been hospitalised for 2 weeks after severe asthma attacks from a very, very young age. I wanted to do something and help people help themselves. And that picture I saw when I was 18. So my book, as I mentioned, earthquakes, famine, negative. My book, I want, is about people. Humanity. Generosity. Hi Uncle Tony. People just being so generous and so welcoming. So I want to shift that idea of what it's like for people who live in these war zones, who live in these famines. Because although they may have very little, and although their body's going through a hell of a lot, they're also people. They're people. Hi Auntie Deetra. They're people. Like you, like me. So that's the history as to why I did that. So yes, I did keep journals. As I said, this is my journal. So I decided, as I say, to add more people into this group, because the idea is to just bounce ideas and thoughts. I do podcasts, I do speaking, I do storytelling. So if you have any events coming up and you think that might you want something quite different or unique, please get in contact with me. I'm across every social media platform. So I also have a YouTube channel, which I did post in this group as well. If I get over 100, I can personalize it for you. These stories are for you to have a little idea of what it's like in a different country. You may have travelled, you may have worked yourselves overseas, but the countries I was in, you couldn't get in unless you were in the humanitarian field. You needed to get a visa. You needed maybe to get 2 or 3 flights in. It wasn't as straightforward as booking a flight. So the story I've picked tonight is the 18th of April. Okay, so I've typed a lot of my stories up, and the idea, as I say, is to publish these stories. I realised that after the second line of this story, I need to go back and tell you a descriptive. So this is my first draft. Any authors in this group? Absolutely brilliant. This is my first draft. So I've written, it's raw, it's mine, it's based on my experiences, my understanding, my stories, my life, day to day. So what will be published, I don't know. But I wanted to just read this story. There's a bit of embarrassment in it. And certainly ask me questions at the end, or ask me throughout why this, why that, or whatever. So I need to read a little line and then go back and to describe, because I start from arriving into Afghanistan, and you can imagine everything's different. Everything. Heat, clothes, food, culture, music, how you sleep, how you eat, how you work. Thank you, Jane. All of these things are so different. So I just can't go into a story now because it's 18th of April. I went into Afghanistan. I actually celebrated St. Patrick's Day in Pakistan, in Islamabad. So I've described a lot of these stories already. So I'll go back. I hope it makes sense, but I'll begin. You're here to hear a story. Thursday, the 18th of April. God, up at 5 a.m. as we are off to start a new cluster, which is far away, and we are one day behind schedule. I sleep on the way in the car. Eventually, get to the village and meet the leaders. And for those of you who haven't heard my previous stories, I just want to describe what it's like in a village. My arrival at the local village in my marked car starts to draw a crowd of children. I get used to this over time. It must be what it is like when you're famous. The houses are square-shaped buildings within a compound. They are made from mud and water, so they are light brown colour. Most of them are one room, but it is divided up into separate quarters with material, like a large curtain. They also have a space at the back within their outer wall where most of the cooking and washing takes place. The outer walls are bumpy. I can see the joins. They're all handmade. They look like a huge sandcastle, only more solid. I learn the houses are very cool in the summer and warm in the harsh winters here, which is needed. Learn a valuable lesson today. The first step in carrying out a survey is to meet with the village and religious leaders. Hi, Liz. And ask for their permission before you start. You just can't rock up and do a village survey. You just can't. There's etiquette, and that's what I learned today. I'm so nervous before this encounter, but it goes okay, I think. It is a must, so I must do it. I enter a cool, dark room with my translator, and as usual, remove my shoes. I've started wearing my walking boots loose as they come off and on so many times in the villages. I am roasted in them, but better safe than sorry, with possible insects or snakes, I was told. The room is like an oven, which doesn't help how I feel. It's maybe 40-45 degrees heat centigrade. The leaders are here. They are dressed in traditional Afghan clothing, a distasha, a scarf around their shoulders, and a headscarf. The material looks like silk, gorgeous and very striking. I'm in my field gear, sweating like mad and nervous. They have suntanned faces and hands, and in their hands they have their prayer beads. My translator keeps me right with customs, but I do not offer my hand for a handshake. I know that myself. After I'm introduced, I speak a few words of Dari, which breaks the ice and calms my nerves. You don't learn any of this from a textbook in a lecture hall. To begin proceedings, we all share a hot sugary black tea in an Astikan glass similar to the size of a shot glass, made up of 2/3 of sugar and the rest black tea. I speak of the survey methodology, the questionnaires, and the measurements that need to take place with the children. Hi Holly, how you doing? Thanks for coming in from Canada. Why I'm here and what will happen after the report is written. I'm asked about where I'm from and about my family, a custom I get used to, asked every day, absolutely glorious. I'm not here to write a report and make recommendations for it to sit on a shelf. In parentheses, tea is always offered and you never refuse, as it is deemed rude if you do. One day I remember having 4 or 5 teas and I was bouncing off the walls and about the village due to all the sugar. Close the parentheses. Even though what they're saying is being translated in chunks rather than word by word, I know these men ooze utter respect. When they speak, it is like music, so calm and poetic, sounding, of course, as I don't have a clue what they're saying. I really do trust my translator with the translations. I would need to. I really feel privileged to be here in their company, and they feel it is a real honour that their village is to be included in the survey. I stop myself from staring. This memory will never leave me. We get the go-ahead from the leaders, so I draw on a large page in pencil all the houses in the village, with the leaders' help. Everyone helps. The leaders watch and follow us. This is their village, after all, and if we run into problems, they're here to help. So we test our learning and visit a selection of homes. So that's the context. 30 villages have to be assessed, 30 by 30 cluster. 30 by 30 makes 900 children. And that's, you measure 900 children, and from that you can work out the malnutrition rate. So that's the context if you haven't heard my other stories, because I needed to paint that picture, I felt. So, back to Thursday the 18th. Eventually got to the village and met the leaders, as I described. All male. And I faint right in front of them. Yes, I faint. I remember getting up from sitting on the cushion on the floor, and the next thing I know, I'm back on the floor. I hurt my foot in the process. I am both embarrassed. Hi, Jane. When was this? This was in 2002. So I lived away and worked away in 2002. So it's many, many years ago. The terrain has not changed. The security has changed. The culture hasn't changed. The food hasn't changed. It's moved on. But these are memories, and I close my eyes and I'm there. So 2002, so 18 years ago. I was 26. I hurt my foot in the process. I'm both embarrassed and annoyed. I believe it is a combination of tiredness and heat. As I said, 40, 45 degrees heat. I'm an Irish lady, so pretty hot. The men are wonderful, but cannot assist me up off the floor. So my translator takes my hand and helps me. He is a doctor by trade, as are the 4 other members of the teams. So all the male doctors who are in the room come over to help me. The women are outside waiting on us, finishing our chat. That's local etiquette. So in the room, so I was like an honorary man. I was able to sit with the men and sit with the women, and that's a traditional custom in Afghanistan and other countries too. I am the one trying to fit into this country, not wanting to draw any extra attention, and I do this. It is very endearing how they take care of me. I can see genuine worry across their faces and in their eyes. I reassure them I'm okay, just needing some water and rest. Words travel fast out of the room that I have fainted. On leaving the room, the female team members all come over to see if I'm okay. They are more tactile than the men and try to remove my headscarf to cool me down. Even though I feel really, really silly, I know not to remove my headscarf. I'm in a very remote village and I continue to be respectful of the culture, even though I'm absolutely roasted. Once the commotion dies down, I remove myself and go and sit in the car and have a great laugh to myself about what just happened. My foot is really sore and I'm more worried that I won't be able to run again. Never mind the embarrassment in front of the Afghan men. The driver thankfully parks the car in the shade and I wind down my window for some breeze to get in, even though it is warm. Decide to write a letter to Mummy and Daddy while here, an opportune moment, because normally I'm working. I sit in the car while the teams do the work. This is not how I operate. The teams are perfectly fine with me, of course, being in the car and of course doing the work, but it is my head that isn't fine with it. They want me to stay in the car and they apologise for their country being so warm. Miss Una, I'm sorry my country is so warm. How humbling they take the blame for this when it is me and my body. I suppose in a way the work will be a lot quicker when I'm not there. No squealing children terrified of me, or no lengthy transitions for me either. The survey is completed and the mullah of the village, the religious leader, offers lunch in his home. Once again, I eat for Ireland, and I'm asked maybe 100 times if I'm okay, out of sheer concern and compassion. We thank everyone and we head home to Mazar Sharif, where I was based. I know the Afghan people are very caring, but today I experienced it at a different level because of what happened to me. They were so worried when I fainted, and they are now so pleased I'm okay. Excuse me. It is a scorcher today, both the sun and my face when I fainted. So I go for an ice cream from the bazaar and keep everything crossed I will not be sick because it is homemade. You're advised not to eat ice cream. It's made from local water. You can imagine what would happen if the water's not clean. Yeah, toilet time. Go back to the office and sort the paperwork for tomorrow. Head home smiling to myself that I'm going to tell my teammates what happened. What a day. I sink into the car seat on the way home from the office. I'm always driven, by the way. I am tired, but there is a party tonight to shake myself. It's Thursday evening, and that's when the expats' parties are. In Afghanistan, Friday was your day off. I enjoy a cold shower, have some dinner, and head out to the expat party. Have one beer, chats, dance a little. Thankfully, my foot is okay. Tell my story, and I get a good laugh. I'm embarrassed all over again. Back home for 9. Curfew time. Curfew you never broke. Unwind on the roof for a while. I'm in a 3-tier story building in Mazar Sharif, the tallest building in the town, and up on the roof it's really, really cool. So usually on a Thursday night that's the norm. You know, we're talking, sorry, this is off the story, we're talking maybe 35 degrees heat at night, 35 degrees heat at night, so still really, really warm. It's a bit cooler up there. It is going to be hard to sleep tonight. It is still so very warm and the air is dry. I can't even open any of my windows in my bedroom for security reasons, for dust reasons, and I don't have a fan either. Oh dear. And the fan was a standalone circulating warm air. I am peeved I'm working tomorrow, so more of the same. I only get one day off here, but such is life for now. I suppose once it is done, I can rest. Yay! I need to sleep. Night. So that's my one day. That's it complete. So that's my story. I mean, I have been sharing stories. If you want to ask me any questions, I hope you enjoyed it. I know I've jumped into April. That's why I gave the context of what the houses are like. Maybe if you want to go back to my YouTube videos and listen to them, I try and keep the story short. If you want to go back and listen to them. But that's it. So thank you for coming on. It wasn't going to be a long session. This is what I'm on to next. This is my next book. And if anybody in here can read or Arabic, I'd love to know what that means. I'll take a picture. I got this book from my sister Zora, who I'm still in contact with. She's Afghani. She's moved now to, thank you, Holly. Thank you very much. She's moved to America. So, Deidre, thank you so much. And this actually says, you can read it, Ethiopia. So this, don't keep the story short. Thank you, Jane. This is where I'm at now. So at the moment I'm typing up Ethiopia. So just as a backstory, I started off in Afghanistan And then I moved to Ethiopia, and then Angola. And then I was pulled out of Angola for an emergency team into the Middle East. And then I then moved from Angola to Iraq, southern Iraq. Saddam Hussein, this was 2003, Jane. Saddam Hussein had fallen in March 2003, and I went in April 2003. So the country was still shaking, and sadly the country is still shaking. It breaks my heart. So I was in there. Thanks, Liz. Thank you, darling. Liz and I worked in Iraq together. The second time I was in Iraq twice. So I went into Iraq, was based in southern Iraq, in Nazareth, quite close to the front line. And then I went back home, and I went back out again with a different agency where I met Miss Liz. So then I was in Samawa with Yaya, my brother Yaya. And then I also was in Baghdad. I have stories about the Green Zone. I have stories about being in Saddam's golden bathroom. I have stories about, I was in the country when Saddam was captured. So that was an interesting evening. Lots and lots of men crying because he'd been captured, and lots of gunfire into the air. What comes up has to go down. And there were 60 people hospitalised that night, the night that Saddam was captured. So I was physically in the country in southern Iraq when that happened. And then I moved there into Jordan because the SHIT hit the fan and it got too dangerous. There were car bombs going off. Yes, Liz, you were away. You were in the doctor's apartment having lunch. I had sciatica, so I couldn't go. And we had to get Liz across Mawa back to the house when the place was going crazy. I mean, it was like, even now I'm thinking I'm getting a goosebumpily. Moved to Jordan for a while because it was just crazy. There were car bombs going off all the time, and I worked in nutrition and health at the time, and it was too much of a risk to stay. So I decided to move myself to Jordan. And then from Jordan, I moved. You were in, I was in with a bad back. Yeah, I couldn't move. I had sciatica. And they were knocking, the driver was, Mr. And I said, what? I got him. They got him. Saddam. So, Anyway, so I moved then to South Sudan, West Darfur, in Janina, worked for the United Nations for a while in the World Food Programme. So I moved from a non-governmental organisation to the UN, into the dark side, I suppose, like here in Belfast. It'd be like working for community and voluntary sector and then going to the council, for example. And then from South Sudan, came home for a while, then went back and worked in Niger, back to the continent of Africa, and then came home, hung up my boots, thought that was it, and then it wasn't, and then I had 3 weeks of extra leave, and I went to Democratic Republic of Congo to do my final nutrition survey, and that was me. So across 5 years, across 5 years. Now I'm 45, I've rekindled my passion. I love talking about it. I love passing on my learning. I love learning new stuff. And you know, I as I say, I hope you enjoyed this evening. And I know, Deepta, my auntie, you said you were there with me. So that's what I want to do. And I want to just change the shift of perception. So when you think of Afghanistan, you think of the beautiful music and the beautiful food, which I'll describe, and the beautiful material and the scenery and the temperature. You won't think of the tea. Here back in business, unfortunately, again. And they had just fallen 4 months before I went in. The Taliban fell back in 2001 in the November, and I was in the March of the 2002. I won't ask my Auntie Deetra what my mum and dad thought because I kind of know their thoughts. Megan in headstrong, I was going to Afghanistan. That's it. Funny, I couldn't get a job for 2 years. I tried to get out. I finished my degree. I finished my master's in international nutrition. And then, thank you so much, Jane. And then I couldn't get a job. So I worked for 2 years in England. And then within half an hour, I was offered 2 jobs. 2 years in East Timor living with the nuns, or 6 months in Afghanistan with Goal Ireland. So my take home is, if you want to do something, do it. Just keep focused and stay focused. So now I'm here. Discovered all my gleams and artifacts last year in my attic, went through something in work, presented my learning as an international humanitarian, thought this is it, so this is my journey and this is my story. So Ethiopia's next, and then I'll write them succinctly, and then I'll have my draft one, which I will share with my publisher. And I need to find one for sure, and focus on getting that done, and then present. Yes, you were very worried about your safety. Yes, I can imagine, Deetra. Actually, I don't even want to think about it. Yeah, I know. Because if my 2 children come into me at 26 saying I'm going to a war zone, what can I say? So, as I said, I'm going to do this once a month. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for coming in. It's almost 9:30, so about half an hour. So the end of October is the 31st. It's a Saturday. So, and in between, I'm gonna record one on YouTube. So sharing 2 stories a month while writing, and keep your comments coming, as I say, and then in time, this will be published, and I will be getting my story out to the world that humanitarian work is about humanity. It's about helping others help themselves. It's about respect. It's about dignity. It's about people. And the stuff that I've seen, and the stuff that I experienced, and the stuff that the people who live in the countries I've worked in have experienced, after everything, kind, sensitive, thank you, Holly, generous, funny, educated in life and school, determined, like you and me, like all you guys, just the same. They're just in a different country, maybe different skin colour, definitely different hair colour, different outlook, different culture, different religion, but they're still the same. Rejoicing in our differences through education. We're all different, but we're all the same. And sometimes laughing so hard with your colleagues, your belly hurts. Yes, such fun. Because the humour is different. And things are lost in translation. But I'll tell you one funny story before I go. When I was in southern Iraq, there was a gentleman who had a very, very strong accent. And I thought he said he was, let me get this right, he was a poet. People are people, Jane, absolutely. He was a poet. I heard pig. No, wasn't, no, hold on a second, I'm getting that wrong now. I thought he said pig, but he said poetry, and I went off on this tangent, which wouldn't have been the case because in Iraq they don't eat pork. And I went off and off and off and off and off, and only like within 10 minutes after the conversation I realised I was talking absolute rubbish. And he hadn't a clue. He hadn't a clue what I was talking about. Just that little word, I'd heard things different. But yeah, how they speak to each other is different. You know, they would be very vocal and maybe, I think it's shouting, it's not. It's just their way. So all these things you don't get, you don't get from a book. You don't get it from a book. You don't get it from a lecture hall. What I do want you to get, I hope, is from my book. Suzanne, do you see a big humanity need ahead of us due to COVID? How can we prepare for it? So I do. I think people need to be more mindful that what we've gone through has been very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. And although this context is international, I can localise it. There are people here in Belfast who have issues with food security due to food poverty or fuel poverty. So I think because the economy has been hit so badly and people's mental and physical health has been affected so much from isolation, from restrictions and all of that, that definitely has a knock-on effect on how you feel as a human. So I think we need to be more of a humanitarian in our own country. And I know it's easier said than done. So how can we prepare for it? If so, I think keep it simple, be kind and be respectful of others and listen, actively listen. Because what somebody is going through is what they're going through right here, right now. And talk about how you're feeling and talk about where you would like to go to. Being immersed, you have such amazing insights. So thank you very much, Holly. I think it's important just to be mindful. Yes, we're different, and I say we're different, but we're similar. But we are different and we process things differently. So looking inwardly within the country and your own community, just reach out to make sure everybody is okay, and just remember that they're people and people have different needs and different wants. So just what I do is keep the channel open for anybody who wishes to have a chat, who wishes to discuss things, and don't dismiss anybody's feelings or thoughts, because particularly, well, if they're mine, okay, they're my feelings, my thoughts. If they're yours, Suzanne, they're your feelings and your thoughts, and I can't tell you how you feel, and I can't tell you how you think. Only you know that. So I think, trying to become more resilient within ourselves, and just taking a moment of realizing that we're all in this together. When I was in Afghanistan, there was an earthquake, which the epicenter was about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from where I was based. So these things do happen, and you're putting yourself in those individual shoes. So things happen, and just be mindful that we're all in this together. So it wasn't just that earthquake zone. It was beyond that. COVID is global. Everybody's going through it. Suzanne, Olivia, does pride get in the way for people? Yes, I think so. But it goes against you if you can't get beyond your pride. We're all human. I mean, I have 2 small children in my house. I have a day job, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. This is my evening work. Unique is my business, and then I'm one of the directors of Join Her Network, which I'm sure you've heard me talk about before as well. So I'm busy, and in the lock-in when the schools were closed, it was so tough, so tough. I talked about it with my husband, obviously, but pride, embarrassment, get on with it, back in our day, but nobody has ever experienced this before. Nobody. So I think sometimes there's a saying here, Suzanne, swallow your pride. I think if you don't, or even an element of it, it'll go against you, because you can't be all singing, all dancing all the time. Not everybody's perfect. I mean, I put my 2 children to bed tonight, and I knew I was doing this, and I thought, I'm just going to come as I am, because it's a story, sitting in my living room telling a story. So I think we have to remember that we're all in this together, and humanity, we share the same house, the globe. So I think if you can just remember, we're in it together, talk to each other, support each other, put your hand up if you're struggling, because I've struggled in the past, and I've openly talked about it. I had a massive job change, dropped 7 scales, dropped half my salary, almost lost the house. I got through it. I talked about it. How do we get people to swallow their pride? Tell them that it's okay. It's okay to have these feelings. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a counsellor, so I'm just speaking from my lived experiences. Listening, non-judgmental, not interrupting, listening, accepting, being respectful of where that person is at, where you are at, and just slowly trying to get the message that if you put up a guard, or if you put on a mask, because I've done it when I went back to my job, my new job, and it does you no favour. It actually is good to talk, and it's good to seek assistance from a professional. I'm a professional in something else. I'm not a counsellor, but I'm an advocate for talking. For many years when I was younger, I didn't talk. I had my guard up. My Auntie Dietrich can vouch for me there. I was like, no, hard on the outside, soft on the inside. Now, I wonder why my youngest can't stop talking. So I think just giving the space, asking the questions, but not pressing for an answer. Because if you know somebody maybe be struggling or going through something, they may not know you're there. So just plant a seed. How are you doing? Did you fancy a coffee? Did you fancy a chat? Checking in, as we say. Just let people know that we're there for each other. I think that's key. It's all about humanity. It's all about humanity. So yes, this is international context. You know, I'm an Irish lady and I worked on 2 continents. I mean, I was struck as well when I was there, and I found it hard seeing severely malnourished children. I found it hard seeing poverty I'd never experienced before. I talked about it, and this is part of the reason why I kept my journals, to process it. So I think I'm a fan, I'm a fan of journaling. So if you're having these feelings and these thoughts, write them down. Tell somebody. Reach out. Because you won't be the only one. There's lots of people going through lots of stuff right now. And I think if people realise you're finding it tough some days, I say you have wobble days. That's my term. We all have wobble days. It's normal. There's a lot going on. Here in Belfast, the restrictions are tight now. And it's difficult. But I suppose perspective as well is trying to, you know, hone in on. And for me, it must be heartbreaking. I'll just finish off this, Suzanne, and yes, I'll come back to you, Jane. You know, a lot of it is gratitude. So when I have my wobble days, I have pictures to look at and I go, catch a grip yourself. You know, for me, I have electricity, I have water, I have my home, I have my security, I have my heat, I have my health, I have my car, I have the school for my children, etc., etc., etc. Not every day I'm like that. But I think bringing it back to basics and remembering that even though this is international context, we all have something. We all have something. And even when I was in a village one day and they had nothing, this woman had nothing, and I mean nothing. She made me rice and oil from her rations. And I did the refugee ration challenge, you might have noticed. She gave me rice and oil. And I knew I was going to get sick, but I ate it out of respect and out of gratitude for her. But that was her saying thank you to me. And I was given rugs as a thank you as well. So just remembering basics, I think, and allowing yourself to wobble sometimes. It must be heartbreaking. It was, Jane. It was. I went into Afghanistan, my first mission, books, poof, theory, smells, heat, oh my God, what? And I was shadowed. I shadowed somebody for my first month. And then after that, I was on my own. So the first day, I mean, I read on YouTube, the first one is the hardest thing, the first malnourished child. I mean, a child's a child. I'm a mother. I couldn't do that part of it now. It's a child. It's a miracle of life. I mean, I had 2 miscarriages before I had Dara. Dara was a wanted baby. Getting pregnant sometimes isn't easy. So I know I'm going off, but it was heartbreaking, but it was also brilliant, fun, enjoyable, uplifting, perspective, enlightening, all the differences. I learned a different language. I learned of a different religion. I tried Ramadan. It made me very sick. You know, I made Karima, my sister Karima. I met these amazing men and women from all over the world. They just took me under their wing like I was their sister. I looked different. I was Christian. I was white. I was, you know, all these things. And that's how I was, you know, described. But I'm a person. I'm human. So back to what you said. People are people. So I'm mindful it's 20 to 10. Thank you all so much for coming in to listen to my story. And I will, as I said, the next one is going to be the 31st of October. It's a Saturday. I'm going to do one live once a month for now. And if you have any questions about my experiences or you want to know anything more, you know where I am. You're in my group. It's a safe space. I wanted to do a live in here. I'm trying to direct people. Thank you, Jane. I'm trying to direct you into this group because the business is about rejoicing through our differences. Rejoicing of our differences through education, and storytelling is an element of that. So if you feel that you are involved, Jane, thank you. If you're involved in any organisations or if any Youth group. Oh, thank you so much, Karima. Hi, Nana. You know, if you're involved with any groups or any events who may want something different, now it doesn't make me any bigger or any better or any bolder. It was my career. It was my job. I loved it. I still love it. And it was a choice that I made. And it just opened my eyes to absolutely everything. If you named one thing, it was different. Became more creative. On occasion lost electricity. If I hadn't charged my computer, gone. Carbon copy paper when I was in Ethiopia because there was no photocopier. So you become so much more creative. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And when we initially went into lockdown, my children are 4 and 8. I mean, the 4-year-old Dara can't really understand. Paul, my husband, was getting a little bit frustrated, and I was thinking, well, I've lived in a compound. I've lived when I was in Baghdad. My office was downstairs with Miss Liz, and we slept upstairs, and we lived in a compound. So I can fall back into that thinking, but then I was single and I wasn't a mother with children. So we're stronger than we think we are. But for me, I got very sick. Oh, thank you very much, Suzanne. I got very sick. I got malaria, I got conjunctivitis, I got vomit and diarrhea. I got lots of stuff, and I time and place, and my health is my wealth. I mean, I put something on the Wordy Wednesday, which is today actually, about health. When I got malaria, I was in Niger, and I was in Tawa, which is 8 hours away from the hospital, from Miami, and the roads weren't great, and I was convinced I was going to die. I typed a text into my phone, because when you have pains in your back, you get training before you go out. Pains in my back and my kidneys, and once it's in your kidneys, that's it. It's once it's in your organs, that's it. And I text a message saying love you all. Woke up the next day and didn't send it, and I thought it's not worth it. So I know people continue on in this work. I know Miss Liz, Humanitarian for I think possibly 20 years. My American friend, Cuban descent, heart of gold, love her to bits, so supportive in every way. I do want to get back to the field when my children are a little bit older. I didn't have them to go away from them. My opinion, my choice. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in to my storytelling. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you live again at the end of October. Night night from Belfast. Bye bye.